On today's video, I'll be showing you how to replace the breaker. Before working on your breaker, you want to ensure that you remove the power supply to your breaker box. This is going to be found at the meter, and there's a main breaker at the meter. You're going to turn that to the off position. This is the meter. Here, I'm going to turn the breaker off. This will turn the power off at the circuit breaker panel. The best way to test this is to go ahead and check the power inside the unit. You should have no power to any outlets or light switches. Also use your multimeter. And you can see I do not have voltage. At this point, we're going to remove the outer panel and we're going to score along the drywall. You're going to take your blade and just work it along the side to get a nice clean cut. We're going to remove the screws that secure the panel. The panel. You're working on any type of electrical, especially when you're working on outlets, circuit breakers, you want to make sure that you have the proper tools. We have a multimeter, we have insulated screwdrivers, we also have a non-contact voltage detector. Have on the proper hand gear to protect your hands. Have on proper face gear, which includes glasses to protect your eyes. A lot of these little things are going to keep you safe when you're working on any type of electrical work. What we're going to do before proceeding is we're going to test to make sure that we do not have voltage coming into this panel. To do this, ensure your multimeter is set to voltage. Here we have 120 volts coming on each side. This is what makes 240 volts feeding the panel. I have my multimeter set to volts AC. Make sure that your leads are inside properly. We're going to take one of our leads and we're going to place it on one side of incoming. The other one's going to go on the other side of incoming, and you're going to hold it, and then you're going to look at your multimeter and you can see we have a reading of 0 volts. This is the breaker that we're going to be working on. You can see it's already in the trip position. To reset any breaker, you turn it to the off position and flip it back to the on position. The reason we're replacing this breaker is because even in the on position, when I took a voltage reading, it was giving me a reading of 0 volts. You can go on my channel. I do have a video on how to check the readings for that. This video is only specifically for replacing the breaker once you've confirmed it's bad. Even though we have turned the main incoming power off, I do always suggest when you're working on the breaker, just turning it to the off position. A close-up right here, and you can see once you loosen this screw, you'll be able to pull the wire back. This is your incoming hot. This one is the same. What we're going to do is on this specific breaker, this is a 240 volts. We're going to loosen the incoming power. You have one that's coming in here, one here. This is going to be 120, which gives it 240. Once you loosen that screw, you'll be able to pull the wire out. And the breaker is in the off position. Even though I already removed the power coming in, it's just important that you use proper safety habits. There's sometimes when you're working on the panel live and you still have to turn the power off to the breaker. So we're going to remove the screw. Loosen the screw, just going to pull the wire back. To remove the breaker, you're going to wedge your flathead in between this breaker, and you're going to try to pull from this side up and out this way. It might be stuck, so you want to wedge it and pull it out. And you can see here the breaker has been severely damaged. We're going to have to clean up the bus bar. What I'm going to do is I want to pull this breaker and inspect the back. See here that there are no issues with this breaker. The back of the old circuit breaker is stuck there, so we're going to remove that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the bus bar so I can make a good clean connection. Now that we've cleaned the leads, we're going to make our connections. Connect my breaker. Going to be our new 25 amp breaker. Here I connected my incoming power to my breaker. Connecting the breaker, we're going to put it here. This is the side, and we're going to kind of just clip it on there at an angle and then push in. So you can see I have this side in on my left. You're going to push and secure your circuit breaker. At this point, we're ready to test our breaker. We're going to make sure that all of our wires are nice and secure. Make sure the breakers are set in place properly. Once you ensure all this has been completed, we're going to go ahead and turn the main power on and then test the breaker. The breaker's on. Testing our incoming voltage. You can see we have 240 volts. Testing the breaker. And you can see we have 240 volts. We're going to install our panel face cover. Once you finish installing your panel, if there's any marks, fingerprints around the panel that you made, just clean it up. If the video was a help, if it was informational, please subscribe.